I think we're preparing students for positive technology use by having them be a part of developing policies related to acceptable use. So we do have students who serve as student board members who help with policy decision making. While they may not have a vote, their voice is heard as a part of the process of developing the policies that our board develops. So we allow them to have voice, be a part of the process, which then ultimately helps us develop the policies that we have to enact. I think the students, then in turn hold others accountable, i.e. their peers. And so that's what we've done, and we've seen some success in that area. Is there room for growth? Yes, but we have seen some areas of success.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
I am Adam Leckie. I'm the superintendent of the Casa Grande Elementary School District. We are a district of about 6,500 students, and we're located just outside the metro area between Phoenix and Tucson in Arizona.
Hi, I'm John Marschhausen, superintendent of the Dublin City Schools in suburban Columbus, Ohio. We have about 17,000 students in 24 school sites.
Hello, I am Eric Becoats. I'm the superintendent of the William Penn School District, located in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. We serve about 5,000 students in 11 schools.
How has the prevalence of technology in the classroom impacted student learning and engagement?
Technology has really transformed how we teach and learn in a classroom setting. Everything from the types of tools that we can provide students to leverage their creativity to the type of access that we can provide students who would traditionally have barriers to learning. It's forced us to really transform how we also teach and think about learning. And it's leveraged a lot of the creativity and innovation that we want to see from our students.
When we look at how technology impacts student learning and engagement, there are both pros and cons. I think as students become dependent on technology, we create crutches for them where sometimes they're not getting that base foundational knowledge that they need to be able to implement technology more effectively in the future. It's also a pro because our students have grown up with technology around them their entire lives. And in this role, we need to prepare them to effectively use technology to be successful in the world after they leave us in public education.
I think the prevalence of technology in the classroom has definitely benefited students, but it's also brought us challenges with trying to ensure that our students are responsible citizens when using technology.
How can school districts deal with social media issues that may originate on a social media app, but then might create a big problem on campus or for the district, whether it's that same day or Monday morning when we're back on campus?
Most often, we're dealing with challenging behavior and conflict that happens on social media and then spills over into the school setting. And so we really approach that from a couple different lenses. The most effective really being able to educate kids early on about the dangers of social media, how they need to interact with one another, and really creating a culture of respect for their peers so that when they engage in social media or in person, their behaviors are much more aligned with what we want to see a productive and happy child be able to display. Districts also need to really be clear about their policies and procedures and take quick action to involve parents and other community members in the conversation to ensure that students are receiving wraparound supports for any issues or challenges that they might be having.
Well, that's very real. Social media issues do translate or come into our school buildings. And I think a lot of times what we try to do is really be transparent with the students and sit down and have a conversation with them about the issue at hand. And then we have open and honest conversations about the situation, how to deal with it, and what are some of their suggestions. And we do talk about with our students the guidelines that we already have in place around acceptable use policy. So what does that mean to you? How do we modify? What would we change? So we give them the opportunity to give feedback, have voice, but we also hold them accountable.
I think when we look at social media and the effect that outside of school use of social media has when we get into school, the number one thing we can do is communicate with parents and be active building that school community. How many times do moms and dads not know what their children are doing when they're at home or when with friends, and then they don't understand the impact that has on our school environment. We have to be much more active and involved with our parents in sharing specifics with what their children are doing both in and out of school on social media.
Can you provide some examples of maybe how some students have used their social media accounts in a positive and a productive manner that may have benefited themselves or their community?
Yeah, social media we know is such a powerful tool, and we see how it can be leveraged for a lot of the positive things that we want our students to engage in. And so being able to create artwork and share that with the community at large and receive a lot of attention and recognition for their talents and skills. We see students creating TikTok videos and Instagram videos of the projects that they're doing that benefit their local community and are able to pass that good on to others and really inspire the larger network around the world about what they can do to better impact their community through a service model. And so we really see students being able to use these different apps in really positive and impactful ways when they're given guidance and opportunity to do so, and really see the positive side of social media.
Well, we have some very creative students here who have utilized technology to benefit them. Some of our students actually did a podcast and did advocacy on fair funding. And so we're a lead litigant in suing our state for fair funding. And we had a group of students who developed and utilized technology to tell their story about how fair funding impacts them within the school building at the particular high school that they attend. And so that benefited them in the sense of getting their voices heard. And we ultimately, in the judge, declared that the current funding system is unconstitutional. And so, we gave our students a lot of the credit for advocacy, being present, and sharing their story via the local technology or social media platforms.
I think when we look at what colleges and employers are looking for in our graduates, the things they do on social media, they can create a positive footprint. So when they're applying to college or university, or they're applying for those first jobs, documenting what they've done, how they've been leaders, volunteers, the difference they've made in their community at home, now that puts them ahead of other students. And they are creating that digital footprint that highlights who they are in a world when others may not be, creating that narrative and telling that story over time. And the more we can get our students to write their own narrative to share with the world, the better they're going to be when they become adults and productive members of our society.
In the age of one-to-one, how are you preparing students for positive technology use in the classroom?
So we really are striving in a one-to-one environment to make sure that there's intentionality with how students are utilizing technology. And we're thinking about the reason behind the tool or the program or what we're asking students to do. And so thinking about how they can positively impact not only their own learning, but think about leveraging their passions and creativity through technology to really give them opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have. And so it's really looking at technology as a tool and not the end goal in terms of what we want to achieve and how we want to push our students to fulfill their potential.
I think we're preparing students for positive technology use by having them be a part of developing policies related to acceptable use. So we do have students who serve as student board members who help with policy decision-making. While they may not have a vote, their voice is heard as a part of the process of developing the policies that our board develops. So we allow them to have voice, be a part of the process, which then ultimately helps us develop the policies that we have to enact. I think the students, then in turn hold others accountable, i.e. their peers. And so that's what we've done, and we've seen some success in that area. Is there room for growth? Yes, but we have seen some areas of success.
I think when we talk about one-to-one education and how we're preparing students, our job as educators is to teach them the balance. We don't want to create students who are device dependent in order to communicate. What we want students to know is how to create that integration and that balance in their lives. When do I use technology? When do I get face to face? When do I use technology? When do I pick up a phone and have an actual phone conversation or walk around the corner and actually talk to someone? Because in my soul, I believe that we are social beings and that social interaction is integral, and teaching students how to maintain and develop that balance for themselves is one of the things we get to do as school educators.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.